Good morning. It is 8 a.m. the next day, and I have assembled everything we need for the next stage. So you can come a little bit closer. So this is now the dividing the dough and shaping it and placing it in the receptacle, essentially, that will form the loaf for baking tomorrow. So it's a 2-day process. So yesterday was the preparation of the dough, overnight is the proofing of the dough, and the next about 24 hours is just the cold retard, and it's just developing the sourdough flavor. It works for me just to leave it in the fridge for a day, but if you wanted to, you could probably put this in your fridge this morning, and you could even bake a loaf in this evening if you wanted to. But I just like to forget about it and then pull it out the next day and bake it, but you'll see that process as well. So I purchased bowls the based on sort of like the traditional bread. I don't even know what this particular tool is called, but sort of like the bread resting bowl. Often you can buy a piece of equipment that's called a banneton that is made specifically to hold this bread. I'm sure you've probably seen them, but I just bought 4 bowls the same size and that are the perfect size for 500-gram loaves of bread. I use white towels. Again, if you want to sort of, have your own supply of bread making equipment, the flour sack towels that they sell in grocery stores is the perfect kind of material for this, I guess this process. And so I would just invest in a couple of those, 4 tops. You need a little bit of all-purpose flour for dusting. I'm working with water, so I would just have a plain bottle of tap water here, and I also have a bench scraper for just dividing the dough. So let's take a look at this dough that has been resting and proofing for about 8 hours, and it's perfect. This is like easily doubled, but it also hasn't overproofed, I think. It has stayed a nice size. If it was like way over, which it has been in the past for me, where it's like domed way up here, that is overproofed, and it did make less successful baked bread at the end of the day. But it's still edible. But overproofing is not a goal with this overnight proofing method. So the temperature must have been good. The fact that I only used 100 grams of starter for this double loaf recipe, I think really helps as well. So this is, when I come a little bit closer, this is really what you want to see, a little bit of bubbling, nice glossy shape, not dried out. And now we're going to go directly into the shaping process. So again, I'm going to wet my hands, and I'm going to sort of deflate this a little bit, just remove it from its sides. Look at all that air that's coming out. This is exactly what you wanted, that overnight proofing. Oh my goodness, it's like bubbling. That is perfect. So happy. Okay, and I'm not really purposely deflating it, but I'm just kind of going to get a little bit of that air out. You don't really want a pocket of air in your baked bread like this, because it'll be a giant hole. So we're just going to separate it from the side so it doesn't stick, and make sure you still have a smooth bottom side, but we're just going to kind of deflate a little bit of that air. And then I'm going to spray my surface with a little bit of water, because I don't use flour. You can, but I don't. And I'm just going to turn this out onto my work surface. So this is now I don't know, about to be shaped. So I don't weigh my bread just to make sure the loaves are the same size, and often they aren't. One is always bigger, but you can just eyeball it and give your water, again, is your best friend for not sticking, and just divide your dough. With the method that I use, I don't do a pre-shape and a rest and then a final shape. I just shape it, which I think is better because it's less chance of losing a lot of that air that you've developed that will give your bread lift and that beautiful sort of open crumb that we're going for. So you're just going to shape it once. I will wet my hands. It is not super sticky, so this is perfect. And I'll just show you my shaping technique. There's a million ways to shape bread, but this is the way that I do it, and I'm perfectly fine with it. And it's super easy to do. So you're just going to grab one end, fold it in on itself, grab the other end and fold it in on itself, just like a sheet or a towel. Grab one side, grab the other side, and pull it in, just like you're making a little swaddling a baby. So now you've had 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to roll it, much like traditional, like regular bread shaping. You're just going to create a little bit of a coil. And now, I'm going to give myself more of a spray, because now you're going to handle the dough and you're going to create tension. So you want to sort of like pull a little bit of this, like this is going to be the top of your bread as it bakes. Is it? Yes, so this is going to be the top of your bread, and you want to have some surface tension so that it doesn't just all explode when it bakes and you know, sort of like makes a really rough surfaced bread. So this, you're just gonna get to do it as you practice, but what you're doing is you're pulling and back and forth on an unfloured surface, barely wet because you don't want it to slide and not sort of pull in on itself, but you're essentially, and if you can come in close, you can see how it's tightening. The surface, the top of your bread is tightening, and this is creating tension. If I kept doing this, this would keep happening where it would break, like sort of your thinnest layer of dough would just start splitting, and I don't really want that. I just want what will feel like, if you could feel this, you would feel how it went from sort of this loose mass to this sort of dome that holds its shape, and this is perfect. Oops, I probably should have prepared my bowls first, but let's do that really quick. It's very simple. Whatever bowl you have, that you don't want something that's too large nor too small. So, you know, it'd be really great if you had a bowl that was sort of like a medium or small size salad bowl. Very simply, you're going to line it with your cotton towel and tuck it in. You don't have to be too perfect about it. You can have creases and everything. And then you're going to take your all-purpose flour and you're just going to dust it. My towels never stick, so you don't need a lot of flour. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take that shaped dome, just going to finish that, and you have it with the smooth side up. You're going to flip it so the smooth side is down. You're going to bring it over and you're just going to place it inside your bowl. So you can see it when we bake it. This will become the bottom. We're going to flip it. We're going to place it in our cooking vessel. So this is the bottom. The smooth side is the top, but it rests this way. And if you see that it starts to sort of like open up a little bit when you flip it, you can just pull it in on itself. Tighten it up. And there we go. This is going to be its state when it sits in the fridge and it does its cold retard. I take a small piece of saran wrap and I put it over top, just so that this doesn't stick to it when you take it out the next day. Some people don't, but I don't seem to mind. I don't even flour the top because this never sticks. So, and then we just fold it over, and then we will place this in our fridge. I'm going to do another one real quick just to show you. And then, I mean, I don't need to show you putting it in the fridge, but you will put it in your refrigerator for at least 12 to 24 hours. And that will be just a period of time where the sourdough continues to grow a little bit, but not a lot because obviously it's cold, but it's just allowing the bread to develop flavor. So this is now a bowl that's ready. And we're going to go back over here. I'm going to rinse off all the flour. And we're going to work with this second half. And we're going to fold it out. Fold it out. Fold it out. You know, it's not perfect at all. And it doesn't have to be. And then we fold it in, and then we roll it up. A lot of people, when they're making what they call batards, which is sort of an oval loaf, this is their final shape. So they would pinch this end together, and they would pinch this end together, and then they would just shape it so that it kept its oval shape. But I don't have oval baking vessels, so I have a round one. So I just create a round ball of dough. But probably the most well-known shape of handmade sourdough out there right now is oval, but didn't want to buy specifically an oval Dutch oven. Okay, so it doesn't take much to smooth that top off. I'm going to stop now because I can see those bubbles getting really thin, and I want to keep a lot of those. And since my floured bowl is ready, I'm just going to flip this. You can even have wet hands, but my hands aren't super sticky. And you put it in really gently, and it's not really splitting that much, but I'm just going to kind of fold those. It's a very forgiving dough. And I'm going to put that square of saran wrap over top. And I'm just going to fold this over the top. Okay, and so these will just go in the fridge, and I will actually have 4 of these bowls in. And we're going to come back to this tomorrow. So today is, yesterday was Monday, today is Tuesday, and I will bake these Wednesday afternoon. So it seems like a stretched out process. But once you kind of get into it, you sort of know what day you want to start your bread and what day you'll have your finished bread. So you just, you know, make that your weekly schedule, and you'll always have bread. So I hope that wasn't too complicated. And I mean, I've made over 200 loaves of bread now, so it might come quite naturally to me. But don't worry if it seems you struggle with this dough, because it is quite moist, and some sort of beginner bakers have a hard time with a high hydration dough because it is so supple, it's sticky, and so people get nervous around it. But the more you do it, the easier it will get. The more moist your bread, the sort of the hydration level of your dough, the more you get that sort of classic sourdough texture, which is open crumb, chewy texture. So keep at it, and we'll see you tomorrow when we bake the bread.